Hey guys, it's your friend Kobe here, and I have a question for you. Do you guys think this shirt makes me look fat? No, like seriously, because apparently how we look influences what we get in life a lot more than you might think. Or maybe a lot less than you might think. We're about to find out. Basically, I've done the research to answer if your time spent worrying about your appearance, outfits, hairstyle, and makeup is actually worth the effort to make you more money. Not only have I researched this so-called pretty privilege, but I've also looked at the flip side. Does wealth make someone more attractive? If you like well-researched answers to questions like these, I make loads of videos about personal finance and business topics like this. So if you're interested in learning more, go ahead and click that little subscribe button. Okay, have you done it? Yes? Okay, great. Now we can get into the rest of the video. Let's start by defining pretty privilege. Pretty privilege is, quote, the association of beauty with talent, intelligence, social success, and health, end quote. In fact, there's a whole field about this very topic called pulchronomics. It's the study of the economics of physical attractiveness. There's limited research available, but even with the research that does exist, it's hard to quantify beauty and measure pretty privilege. The main findings come from Daniel Hammermesh, who has an awesome last name and was an economics professor at UT Austin. He found that the best looking people earn about $250,000 more over the course of their career than their less attractive peers. He also says that when you consider and adjust for education and similar factors, the best looking third of the population makes about 5% more than the average looking population and 10 to 12% more than the worst looking people. Depending on what source or study you're looking at, the research shows that the difference could easily be up to 15% more for the most attractive people when compared to the least attractive people. So, we understand that if you're more attractive, you'll probably make more money, but what are some of the physical factors that are considered more attractive? What are we basing this pretty privilege bias off of, and how much of a difference does each factor make? Some of the most studied factors of pretty privilege are facial symmetry, weight, height, and makeup, and we're going to be talking about each one of those today. Generally, people say faces that are more symmetrical are usually more attractive, and sometimes we don't realize just how asymmetrical our faces actually are. I mean, you look at the average Joe and it's not like one eye is an inch above the other, but I found this cool site that will show you how asymmetrical your face actually is. I'll link it right below the like button if you want to play around with it, but let's just use my face as an example. If I upload a picture of myself here and make sure it's straight on and not tilted or something like that, then I put a line down the middle of my face, the site will generate a picture of what my face would look like if both sides of my face looked like the left side of my face and vice versa. So the main differences here between these two pictures are how my head looks much more square in the one picture, which I think is largely due to how my hair is cut. And it looks like the left side of my face is ever so slightly smaller than the right side of my face. But it could be that I just didn't put the line dead on center. Let me know what you think in the comments below if you think it's the line issue or my face is actually weirdly shaped. There's also more of a line around my chin on the left side of my face than the right. But honestly, my face is a lot more symmetrical than I thought. So let's take someone else. I don't know if you've ever seen Married at First Sight, but mini spoiler, on the very first episode, one lady is not at all attracted to this man, so she has a really hard time going through with the marriage. Now, I wouldn't say that this man is bad looking at all. Like, he's tall, fairly fit, and overall is a solid looking dude, and if you watch the show, he's a great guy. But if you look at his facial symmetry, his chin is pretty crooked, his beard's a little patchy on the one side, his eyes are a little cross-eyed or tilted or something, and there's all these little asymmetries that really hurt his attractiveness. All these asymmetries can lead us to think that someone's less attractive. Here's another example. To see if attractiveness in regards to facial symmetry had an impact on success, researchers took various CEOs, rated their attractiveness based on facial symmetry, and found that CEOs with more symmetrical faces earned about 4.5% more than the less symmetrical faced group. Asymmetry in the face can largely be impacted by things we do growing up. For example, if you sleep on the one side of your face, there's going to be more squishing, puffing, and possibly wrinkling that can show up there. Chewing, especially gum, can also change your face symmetry. We tend to chew gum on just one side of our mouth, which leads to strengthening some of the jaw more than the rest of it. If you get more sun on part of your body, that can also change the symmetry by adding more color, freckles, and wrinkles. This is an extreme example, but look at Bill McElligott. He was a truck driver for 28 years, and you can see how the UV light hitting the one side of his face drastically changed it. The left side of his face looks 15 years older than the right side. Some other things that can change your facial symmetry are biting your lips, smoking on one side of your mouth, raising one eyebrow more regularly than the other, and resting your head on one hand at school or work. But there's more than just facial symmetry that goes into attractiveness and influences what you'll get paid. Weight is a big factor as well. But it's not just that a healthy weight is more attractive. No. Research actually suggests that men are paid more the more they weigh, up to the point of obesity before their salaries decline. But women, on the other hand, women get paid more for being underweight, and salaries decrease the more they weigh. On the guy front, I think this is because subconsciously from our caveman days, a bigger, stronger man was the one who could protect the clan and such. So maybe these primitive prejudices just carried over in the workplace. Similarly, height influences your salary. Men that are 5 centimeters or 2 inches taller than the average man who's 178 centimeters or 5'8" earn about 1.5% more. For women, the difference is a little less extreme, but still, women do see a 1% increase in their salary for being 5 centimeters taller. Now, studies suggest that men's salaries are impacted by how they look more than women's salaries are, which is interesting because I feel like stereotypically most people would have thought the opposite. But one thing that most women have as a tool in their toolbox that men don't is makeup. So how do makeup and dress influence the pretty privilege for women? You've probably heard about how waitresses get paid more tips when they wear makeup, especially red lipstick. This was displayed by a study on waitresses in France. You see, generally in France, a service fee is charged anyway, so not everyone leaves tips. But 50% more men left tips if the waitress wore makeup, and the average amount was 26% higher. Another study showed that women who wore makeup made 30% more than those who didn't. So although this is just one industry, it's interesting to see how much of an impact makeup and clothing can make. And yes, we should definitely acknowledge that part of the attractiveness pay gap may come from other stuff like confidence. Makeup, weight, and height can all influence a person's confidence. And this confidence, regardless of the source, can make people seem more capable of things, so they get better roles and get more raises and so on. But the fact remains that pretty privilege makes people more money. And apparently, pretty people can also get better grades in school. A recent study in Denver had outside observers rate the physical attractiveness of tens of thousands of female students. Don't even get me started on how sexist this whole thing is, but whatever. The grades of the more attractive girls were higher, and they tended to perform better in class. But when the same students took the online courses, the prettier students didn't do as well. So do prettier people get better grades, which leads to better jobs? Correlation's not causation, but there could be a connection there. So obviously pretty privilege kind of sucks. And is there anything we can do about it? Honestly, I think the biggest thing that we can do is change the way we view ourselves. There are some things about ourselves that we have an influence on and some things that we don't, and that's okay. You need to choose to love yourself for who you are now, and if you want to change something about yourself, then work to change it. But I want to just say that I have spent a lot of time around really beautiful people. You may not know this about me, but I was a competitive dancer for pretty much my whole life. And through this process, I was around a lot of girls that the world would say are perfect. But those girls still thought they weren't that pretty. They would say that their nose looks bad, their boobs were too big or too small, their tummy was too big, or whatever the thing they didn't like about themselves was. On the outside, you would laugh at this. How can they be so blind to reality? But then when I look at myself or you look at yourself in the mirror, we think the same things about ourselves. Oh, I can't see my abs enough, or oh, I have those little bumpy things on my arms. I don't know if they show up on camera here, but I have these little bumpy things on my arms that do not go away. The reality is that most beautiful people we see in the magazines or social media or TV don't actually look like that. Before we move on, I just wanted to say that until you fix your brain's connection with the appearance of your body and learn to think of yourself positively, you will never be happy with your appearance, no matter how beautiful everyone else thinks you are. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox now, and here's the rest of the video. Another possible factor of how people look is that the rich people have the means to buy the fancy clothes, accessories, healthcare products they need to be more attractive. So maybe you're not ugly, you just can't afford to have the things that would make you look nicer. Clothing affects your mood, attitude, and confidence. If you're not dressing well and feeling good about your clothing, then you won't be successful in your efforts, both inside and outside of your career. Also, wealthy people can afford to eat better, have personal trainers, buy nice skincare and spa treatments, go to the salons, and even get plastic surgery. So they naturally have the upper hand when it comes to looking good. It's a cycle. Earn more money, buy more expensive things to make you look prettier, earn more money, and so on and so forth. But the hard thing with a lot of these studies is that it's really hard to separate attraction from confidence. I think confidence goes a really long way, and that attractiveness has less to do with your actual appearance and more to do with how you see yourself. So I want to encourage you to know that you are beautiful or you are handsome, and if there's something about your appearance that you don't like, it's okay to work at it, but don't become obsessed with it. Otherwise, no change will ever be enough. The difference attractive versus average people make really isn't that much, and the studies may not even be completely accurate because this kind of thing is just really hard to study. It seems really hard to deny that there is a difference between the pay of the attractive versus the unattractive. But what do you think? Do you think that pretty privilege is real? What experiences have you had with it? Let me know in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed this video, you should definitely check out my video about how the gender pay gap is affecting you today. You guys, I really appreciate you watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you're still here right now, you probably did. So consider subscribing so you can see more videos when I post them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.